Chaitanya Nanda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare.
So we are going to continue to read from Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 3, Chapter 22, text 29 to 30. Parishmati Namapuri Sarva Sampat Samandita Nyapatan Yatra Romani Yagya Syangam Vidun Vataha Kushaha Kasha Sta Eva San Shaswadharita Varchasaha Rasayo Yahe Parabhavya Yagya Ghanan Yagnam Ijjire. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The city of Bharishmati, rich in all kinds of wealth, was so called because Lord Vishnu's hair dropped there from his body when he manifested himself as Lord Boar. As he shook his body, this very hair fell and turned into blades of evergreen kusha grass and kasha, another kind of grass, used for mats, by means of which the sages worship Lord Vishnu after defeating the demons who had interfered with the performance of their sacrifices. So here the Varahadevs is mentioned. Now when Lord Varahadevs, so he, you know how we see a boar will also shake himself. So Lord Krishna is also playing the part. So he's playing the part perfectly. So he also shook, and then his hair, they fell and they turned into kusha grass. Maybe that's the reason that the yogis, they always put in kusha grass for meditation. It's specifically mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says that the yogi, he needs to make a seat of kusha grass. Okay, anyway, and then other is kasha, another kind of mats. So this is coming from the body of the hair of Lord Varahadev. So any place directly connected with the Supreme Lord is called Pitastan. Bharishmati, the capital of Swayambhuva Manu, was exalted not because the city was very rich in wealth and opulence, but because the hairs of Lord Varaha fell at this very spot. These hairs of the Lord later grew as green grass, and the sages used to worship the Lord with that grass. And after some time, when the Lord killed the demon Hiranyaksha, after the time when the Lord killed the demon Hiranyaksha, okay, Yagya means Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Bhagavad Gita, karma is described as Yagyartha. Yagyartha karma means work done only for the satisfaction of Vishnu. So yagya, we don't understand what is yagya. We think yagya, okay, we are going to make a fire, collect a lot of paraphernalia, call a lot of brahmanas to chant a lot of mantras. That is performed for the satisfaction of Vishnu. That is what is yagyartha karma. If something is done for sense gratification or any other purpose, it will be binding upon the worker. Yesterday we were reading in Bhagavad Gita about this. Why is that? Because then we are waiting to get the result. Oh, I did something. Let me hang around, What am I going to get out of what I just did? So that hanging around because we are waiting for it, that keeps us here in the material world, lifetimes and lifetimes. But if we work, okay, it's my duty to work. I'll just work. Krishna's given me this work, so I'm going to do it. And the result depends on Krishna anyways. It's not my thing. Then that is a karma. A karma. If one wants to be freed from the reaction of his work, he must perform everything for the satisfaction of Vishnu or Yagya. So this is how to do a karma. I'm going to do my duty, whatever I am going to do, I have to do it. But the result is not in my hand. The result is in the hands of Krishna. In the capital of Swayambhuva Manu, Bharishmati, these particular functions were being performed by the great sages and saintly persons. Did anyone want to share anything or add anything?
No.
Because here we are speaking of karma yoga. That is the main premise of Bhagavad Gita. The premise of Bhagavad Gita is karma yoga. Krishna tells Arjuna, hey, don't give up your fighting. You fight. What's going to happen? Don't worry so much about it. Fight because it's for my satisfaction. So that's how we also should do. That's an instruction to us. Continue doing whatever we are supposed to do. Lord Caitanya said, do whatever you are doing. Of course, not the illicit activities, not the illegal activities, the regulative principles, but hear and chant. So 31, Kusha Kasha Mayambar here, Astirya Bhagavan Manuho, Ayajat Yagya Purusham Labdasthanam Yato Bhuvam. Manu spread a seat of kushas and kashas and worshipped the Lord, the personality of Godhead, by whose grace he had obtained the rule of the terrestrial globe. Manu is the father of mankind, and therefore from Manu comes the word man, or in Sanskrit, Manushya. So we are called Manushya. Why? Because our father, the father of mankind, he's called Manu. Those who are in a better position in the world, having sufficient wealth, should especially take lessons from Manu, who acknowledged his kingdom and opulence to be gifts from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus always engaged in devotional service. So whatever riches we are getting, we have it from by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. It is his mercy, and so it should be engaged in his service. Similarly, the descendants of Manu, or human beings, especially those who are situated in well-to-do condition, must consider that whatever riches they have are gifts from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Those riches should be utilized for the service of the Lord in sacrifices performed to please him. That is the way of utilizing wealth and opulence. So then so the wealth should be used for the satisfaction of Krishna to please him. And so what is the sacrifice for this age of Kali?
Harinam Sankirtan.
That's right. That's right. So engage our energy and our resources in Harinam Sankirtan, in propagating the Harinam Sankirtan, and propagating the Krishna consciousness movement. So that is the way of utilizing wealth and opulence. No one can achieve wealth, opulence, good birth, a beautiful body, or nice education without the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Wealth, opulence, good birth, and beautiful body, or nice education. We all want this. We all want these things. Nice education, should have a nice body, should be born in a good family, should have enough opulence, all that. But we just understand it's given us by the mercy of the Lord. Therefore, those who are in possession of such valuable facilities must acknowledge their gratefulness to the Lord by worshiping him and offering what they have received from him. When such acknowledgement is given, either by a family, nation, or society, their abode becomes almost like Vaikuntha, and it becomes free from the operation of the threefold miseries of this material world. Free from the threefold miseries of this material world. The house becomes Vaikuntha if Krishna is kept in the center. Because that's what's happening in the Vaikuntha, in the spiritual world, right? In the spiritual world, what are the living entities doing? Krishna is in the center. So whatever they are doing is for the pleasure of Krishna. How can I please Krishna? So the same thing, if we do here in the material world, although our body is material, that's all right. But still, if we engage in activities which are pleasing to Krishna, then the house or the society or the community or the country will become almost like Vaikuntha, because it's the same consciousness. And then in Vaikuntha, there are no miseries. And so if we follow that, then we will not be affected by the miseries. It's not that the miseries won't come, not that, oh, So if somebody's doing it, they won't get disease. Or if somebody's doing that, there won't be any difficulties. It'll be there, but the pangs of it, the pain of it won't be felt. In the modern age, the mission of Krishna consciousness is for everyone to acknowledge the supremacy of Lord Krishna. Whatever one has in his possession must be considered a gift by the grace of the Lord. We think, I did it, I worked so hard for it. And then we are encouraged in that consciousness. But in fact, we should remind ourselves and be grateful to Krishna for whatever gifts he has given to us. Therefore, everyone should engage in devotional service through Krishna consciousness. If one wants to be happy and peaceful in his position, either as a householder or citizen or member of human society, one must promote devotional service for the pleasure of the Lord. So devotional service, hearing and chanting. For what? For the pleasure of the Lord. Encourage that we hear and chant, encourage others to hear and chant, so the Lord will be happy. But Lord is happy, we will be happy. As we hear the example of the hands, legs, eyes, they say, oh, we are just putting food in the stomach and the stomach is enjoying. Why shall we do that? We'll go on strike. But they realized after 2 days, they were suffering. They couldn't even, they were almost dying. Then they say, oh, better we give food to the stomach. When we are giving food to the stomach, we are all healthy. Similarly, our healthy position is Krishna consciousness. That's our original position. And that's why we are advised to do these things, because that's natural for the spirit soul to do. So how do we reach there? We just hear and chant. Just hear and chant, and that's what it is. For the pleasure of Krishna, hearing and chanting for the pleasure of Krishna. It's as simple as that. Yeah. So reading on, Barish Matim Nama Vibhur Yam Nirvishya Samavasat Tasyam Pravishto Bhavanam Tapatraya Vinashanam. Having entered the city of Barishmati, in which he had previously lived, Manu entered his palace, which was filled with an atmosphere that eradicated the 3 miseries of material existence. The material world or material existential life is filled with 3-fold miseries. Miseries pertaining to the body and mind, miseries pertaining to natural disturbances, and miseries inflicted by other living entities. So here in this material world, all the living entities, each and every living entity, from an ant to Lord Brahma, anywhere inside the material world, we are subjected to these 3-fold miseries at any given moment. Miseries which will be either our own physical body or our mind, mental body, diseases, anxiety, fear, whatever. And then miseries which are caused by other living entities. Somebody may be angry at us, or a mosquito might bite us or something, or by natural disturbances, pandemics. So human society, yes.
Right. So Barishmati is on earth. That's right. They're talking on.
Barishmati.
Yeah. The hair fell on the earth.
I don't think this is earth. This is another heavenly planet, looks like.
Another. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Where Swayambhuva Manu is living. Okay. Looks like there. Barishmati.
Because I thought, how the hair must have fallen. So it must have fallen on earth. So Barishmati.
Yeah. But doesn't seem like.
Okay.
Doesn't seem like that. So human society is meant to create a spiritual atmosphere by spreading the spirit of Krishna consciousness. The miseries of material existence cannot affect the status of Krishna consciousness. It is not that the miseries of the material world completely vanish when one takes to Krishna consciousness, but for one who is Krishna conscious, the miseries of material existence have no effect. So the miseries will come, but the devotee, he does not feel the pain of it. We cannot stop the miseries of the material atmosphere, but Krishna consciousness is the antiseptic method to protect us from being affected by the miseries of material existence. So vaccination, we take vaccination to protect ourselves from disease. Now we have been taking so many vaccines, protect us from COVID. So the vaccine against material misery is Krishna consciousness. That even the miseries will be there, but we won't feel the devastating effect of it. For a Krishna conscious person, both living in heaven and living in hell are equal, because his consciousness is fixed with Krishna. He's saying, I just want to please Krishna. So it doesn't matter for him, the external surroundings does not matter for him. How Swayambhuva Manu created an atmosphere wherein he was not affected by material miseries is explained in the following verses. Sabharyaha saprajaha kaman bubhuje nyavirodataha sangiyamana sakri kirtihi shastribihi suragayakehe prati usheshav anubadena Hriday Shanvan Hare Kathaha. Emperor Swayambhuva Manu enjoyed life with his wife and subjects and fulfilled his desires without being disturbed by unwanted principles contrary to the process of religion. Celestial musicians and their wives sang in chorus about the pure reputation of the emperor, and early in the morning, every day, he used to listen to the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead with a loving heart. Every morning he's doing Hari Katha. Human society is actually meant for realization of perfection in Krishna consciousness. That is the main goal of human life, to revive our Krishna consciousness. There is no restriction against living with a wife and children, but life should be so conducted that one may not go against the principles of religion, economic development, regulated sense enjoyment, and ultimately liberation from material existence. So it's said to be peaceful, then we should not, they are the do's and the don'ts, right? Pravriti and nivriti. What's the pravriti? Hearing and chanting. And what's the nivriti? Don't engage in illicit activities, which are against the religious principles. So the Vedic principles are designed in such a way that the conditioned souls who have come to this material existence may be guided in fulfilling their material desires and at the same time be liberated and go back to Godhead, back home. The reason we are here is because we have a lot of material desires, and since time immemorial. We don't even know how many births we've had. We don't even know what desires are lying deep into our hearts, which are not yet sprouted. They're lying deep as seeds. We don't even know what's inside there. So when we follow this, follow hearing, chanting, don't engage in illicit activities, what happens? What happens? That we can fulfill our desires also, because we can't say, oh, don't fulfill desires. Then we will feel deprived and we will continue coming here in the material world. But fulfill desires in a nice way. Fulfill desires and at the same time, cultivate Krishna consciousness. Get liberated. Go back home, back to Godhead. That is the proposal. It is understood that Emperor Swayambhuva Manu enjoyed his household life by following these principles. So he's enjoying. It's not that he's depriving himself. He's a pure devotee. He's enjoying. It is stated here that early in the morning, there were musicians who used to sing with musical instruments. But what are they singing? So we like to hear music. Manu is also hearing music. What are they singing? About the glories of the Lord. And the emperor with his family personally used to hear about the pastimes of the Supreme Person. The pastime, the Leelas of the Supreme Lord. This custom is still prevalent in India in some of the royal families and temples. Professional musicians sing with shahnais, and the sleeping members of the house gradually get up from their beds in a pleasing atmosphere. During bedtime also, the singers sing songs in relationship with the pastimes of the Lord with Shehnai accompaniment, and the householders gradually fall asleep, remembering the glories of the Lord. So waking up, hear the glories, night also hear the glories. Sorry. In every house, in addition to the singing program, there is an arrangement for Bhagavatam lectures in the evening. Family members sit down, hold Hare Krishna Kirtan, hear narrations from Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, and enjoy music before going to bed. The atmosphere created by this Sankirtana movement lives in their hearts, and while sleeping, they also dream of the singing and glorification of the Lord. So the idea is that before going to bed, we hear about the Lord, so that when we are dreaming, we can also dream about the Lord. So in such a way, a perfection of Krishna consciousness can be attained. This practice is very old, as learned from this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam millions of years ago. Swayambhuva Manu used to avail himself of this opportunity to live householder life in the peace and prosperity of a Krishna conscious atmosphere. As far as temples are concerned, in each and every royal palace or rich man's house, inevitably there is a nice temple, and the members of the household rise early in the morning and go to the temple to see the Mangal Aarti ceremony. So the kings, like we visited Govinda Dev temple in Jaipur. The temple is in the palace grounds, and the king could see the deities, from his palace. So the Mangal Aarti ceremony is the first worship of the morning. In the Aarti ceremony, a light is offered in circles before the deities, as are a conch shell and flowers and a fan. So this is to like early in the morning when the Lord wakes up. The Lord is supposed to rise early in the morning and take some light refreshment and give audience to the devotees. The devotees then go back to the house or sing the glories of the Lord in the temple. The early morning ceremony still takes place in Indian temples and palaces. If you go to Vrindavan, all the temples over there, they have this Mangala Aarti going on. It's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful atmosphere. Temples are meant for the assembly of the general public. Temples within palaces are especially for the royal families. But in many of these palace temples, the public is also allowed to visit. I hear the temple of the king of Jaipur is situated within the palace, but the public is allowed to assemble. If one goes there, he will see that the temple is always crowded with at least 500 devotees. It's true, We went in the evening and there was so many people, more than 500, I would think. After the Mangal Aartis, or maybe 500, I don't know.
Now you were just saying 500, now even 3,000.
I think so, yeah. That's what. Look, a lot of people when we were.
Yeah, Goban Dev Ji now, lot.
Very famous.
And then, very, very famous. And then they say that one is the one that the Parikshit Maharaj, Parikshit Maharaj grandson or son, I'm forgetting the name. So he built it out and then it came to Jaipur at the time of the attacks of Mughals. Yeah,
this Govinda Dev deity was being worshipped. Govindaji was worshipped by Rupa Goswami in Vrindavan. Then when the Mughals were coming, then they shifted the original Govindaji to Jaipur. And grandson of Krishna.
Grandson of Krishna, okay.
Yeah, Veerabhadra, I think is
okay.
I think that's what's his name.
And is it also the 3/4 of, because when Uttara was asked to look at it and confirm that how does he look like, because he got the craftsman make it, so then they said that 3/4 looks exactly like Shri Krishna.
Yeah, so I don't, because there's Govindaji, there is Madan Mohan, and then Gopinath.
Yeah.
And so each of them have their, I forget part of the body.
Yeah, but I think Govind Devji was the closest as full.
And then Radharaman, he's a combination of all three.
Okay.
Radharaman, he's there.
Okay.
And he has that all the features of Gopinath, Govindaji, and Madan Mohan.
Okay.
But if you ask me which body part, I can't remember that.
Okay, no problem. It's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but very, very nice.
Yeah, and then there are some people who do the 7 jhankis. That means that Mangal Aarti, and then until the Shayan there are 7. So they just stay in the temple whole day. They don't go home.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, during the Kartik month.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
Yeah.
So after the Mangal Aarti ceremony, they sit down together and sing the glories of the Lord with musical instruments and thus enjoy life. Temple worship by the royal family is also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, where it is stated that those who fail to achieve success in the Bhakti Yoga principles within one life are given a chance to take birth in the next life in a family of rich men, or in a royal family, or family of learned brahmanas or devotees. If one gets the opportunity to take birth in these families, he can achieve the facilities of a Krishna conscious atmosphere without difficulty. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, that you just start doing devotional service, just start bhakti, because the results are eternal. Not that they'll not finish in this life. They won't finish. When we hear and read any literature which is not Krishna conscious, that knowledge will be finished when we leave the body. We can't remember it in the next life. But Krishna consciousness, how much ever we have heard and chant, how much ever we have revived our Krishna consciousness, we begin from that stage. We don't have to begin again from the very beginning. So that
carry
forward.
Carry forward.
Yes,
Right.
Carry forward. Yeah. So if one gets the opportunity to take, a child born in that Krishna atmosphere is sure to develop Krishna consciousness. The perfection which he failed to attain in his last life is again offered in this life, and he make himself perfect without fail. So this is what the idea is, that there is no loss. There's no loss or diminution when we are engaging in bhakti. No loss at all. Always carried forward, bringing us back home. And we were speaking of Govindaji. Govindaji is the deity for Abhideya. Abhideya, devotional service, how to revive Krishna consciousness. So he is the deity because Rupa Goswami, he is the Abhideya Acharya who teaches us devotional service. That's how he wrote Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. Lord Caitanya specifically asked him to do that. And so he teaches us how to engage in bhakti. And the first 2 processes, hearing and chanting. Hearing and chanting. And that's what Manu is doing also. He's hearing the glories of the Lord, hearing and chanting. And
Ideal king.
I'm sorry?
He's an ideal king.
Ideal king, yes. Yes, that's right, ideal king. He's setting the example of how we should live. We'll stop here for today. Thank you so much for joining in and listening in. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shilpa Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.